France are the team most capable of imploding, and it is theirs to lose.
I think this is one of the most interesting groups.
Surely, if you're the striker, you've got to be having words about that.
So I think they wouldn't mind that. It might be sort of, coming second, but it means they won't play him again unless they meet him in the final.
Here we go.
We are just over 10 days away from the kickoff to Euro 2024, and today we are bringing you the ultimate preview guide. We're going to speak through every single group, every single team. We'll be making our predictions for the winner, dark horses, and biggest disappointment at the end of the show. Stay tuned. Let's get straight into it. Group A. Of course, we have to start there. Many will be looking, in my opinion, at Scotland. But Germany, of course, the hosts, kicking us off. So Group A is as follows: Germany, Scotland, Hungary, and Switzerland. Pretty solid group all round. How do you boys see this one playing out?
I think this is one of the most interesting groups because, okay, Germany are the favourites to get out of the group. That's sort of a given to everyone. But after that, Hungary, they actually, topped their qualifying group. Scotland only lost one game, I think, and that was to Spain in their qualifying group. And Switzerland have done well in sort of previous tournaments. And probably if you weren't following international football, you'd probably think Switzerland were like second favourite to go through this group. When actually they might not. They might even be last in it, just with how well the other two teams have done. So actually, I think it's a really interesting group, and I think you've got to look towards the sort of how these do in the first sort of games, because obviously Scotland, they start off on the back foot against Germany, but if they show a good performance, that should give them sort of the confidence to go, right, we can go and beat Hungary, we can go and beat Switzerland. So it's definitely an interesting one there from my point of view. I think it's one of the most interesting groups.
100%. Reece, what do you stand on this group?
Yeah, you can't look past Germany to top it. I mean, after a little while of adjustment, Nagelsmann seems to have got the tactics spot on at the club, the country. They've beaten Netherlands, they've beaten France, earlier this year. They look good. They look very good. And then I think the other three are fighting out amongst themselves, and I think there's three decent teams in there, and I do think Hungary are a team that are being overlooked by quite a few people. Actually, I think they're a good side, and I think second place is all to play for.
One thing I do have to say though, Reece, you're saying Hungary doing well. We don't actually want them to do too well because we will be in Hungary for the final, or my stag do. So we don't really want, an England-Hungary final. So let's hope they don't do too well in the tournament. I don't mind them getting through, but I don't want them in the final because we'd be severely outnumbered out there.
That'd be brilliant. And I think as well, you both touched on it, but a big point around this group, not this group, the groups in general, is that 4 different third place sides are actually going to make it through to the knockouts. So in groups like this, where it's really hard to call between 4 decent sides, obviously Germany the standouts, as we said, but Scotland, Hungary, and Switzerland, I think you can make a case for all of them making it through. So yeah, something to consider, and there will be a lot of
actually a detriment to them though, because there's no easy game where they pick up 3 points. There's no easy team where you should batter them. So they may get draws, which may not get enough points. So that could actually be a problem, that they're 3 good teams, like 3 evenly teams. So definitely one to consider, but there'd be ones you probably don't want as a third place as such if you go and win the group.
Yeah, and just let's give our predictions, but we've got to shout out to Scotland as well. Some of their PR around the tournament, like the Iron Brew advert, the actual national team announcement, has been absolutely top tier. Let's quickly give our predictions then for the 1 and 2 spots. We won't go through the whole groups. I'll kick things off. Again, it's very hard to call. I think Germany being the host, it will give them an extra edge. I think they'll top the group, and I'm going to go Switzerland in spot 2.
I agree with Germany top. Hard to see anything else, but I'm going with Hungary for second place.
Same as Jamie. Germany top, Hungary second.
Nice. Let's move on. Group B. Tough group, this one we could argue. Spain, Italy, Croatia, and Albania. Now, that in itself, Spain-Italy is a glamour tie, and I'm looking forward to seeing that. Do we think Croatia, are they the team that got to the final, or have they dropped off? Because I think that's a real debate. I don't see them on that level that they once were, personally.
I think we say that every tournament though. When they got to the final in the World Cup, England were playing them in the semis. Was it the semi? Yeah, the semis, and it's like we expected to beat them. We played them in the group stage, and it wasn't. Like they're just a tough team to beat. And yes, their team is aging. Modric is what 37, 38 now, maybe even older. I don't know exactly, but it's sort of like they may not be the team that you think they are, but they do just turn up in tournaments, and that's the weird sort of part. But yes, they've come second in their group, in a group that they probably should have won, where Turkey's finished first. But I think they just turn up in tournaments. It's a weird one. They may not be the greatest team, but they know how to get through these sort of get a win here, get a draw here, pick up points, you get through. Then it's sort of one-on-one matches. So I think they're not one to rule out as such.
Yeah, and Albania, I mean, do we give them any chance? Could there be an upset somehow, some way?
No. Simply as they topped their group, but their group was very poor, really. So it's sort of like I just don't see. I think these three teams will be too good for them. And as I said before, with the third place sort of getting through, a win here should be expected of Spain, Italy, Croatia. So it'll be better for them to try and get that third place to go through for one of them teams. Really, we're having what should be a win for each of them.
Yeah, and in terms of the sort of Spain and Italy debate, looking at the bookies odds, the bookies are basically saying Spain are far superior. So Spain are at 7-1 and fourth favourites to win the tournament, whereas you look at Italy and they're at 18-1. So the bookies are kind of saying Spain are the superior side, but you look at Italy. They've been there, they've done it, and I don't think you can discount that.
No, but this isn't the Italy of 3 years ago. They had a horror season. Horror time trying to qualify for the World Cup. That was bad. I don't think they've pulled up any trees under real Spalletti so far. I don't think Spain are that good either, but I think they're better than Italy. So
I think you discredit Spain too much, Jordan. I've seen you've done it for the past sort of few tournaments. I think you think they're useless, and I think they control games massively. I don't think you're going to see many games where Spain go and win a game 5-0, for example. But you're going to see them. It could be seen as sort of boring. They're going to be such possession based that teams can't get the ball off them, and that's why they had a +20 goal difference in their group, which had Scotland in it. I just think they control games so well, and it will be better than what Italy can produce at this time.
Yeah, no, to be honest, I'm not ruling off Spain at all. They're obviously a good side. I think you're right around the possession, but they were rattled by Scotland. That obviously that's just a one-off game, but we've seen that there is chinks in the armor, if you like, for Spain. I think. Look, let's give our predictions for this Group B. I think I've gone fairly obvious from my side. I've said Spain first, Italy second. You guys got anything different?
I've gone the same.
Yeah, exactly the same. I think Croatia aren't great, but they could frustrate you and get you to a draw or something like that, which is what Italy and Spain need to be careful of falling into as a pit hole. That's what Croatia might rely on, just scraping through like that. So yeah, I still think Spain and Italy will come through.
Yeah, I think Croatia will get one of the third place spots because they could easily get a draw of Spain or Italy and then beat Albania. That could even get them through, to be perfectly honest, but I think they'll get enough points to progress.
Yeah. Cool. All right, let's move on. In our case, it is the big one. Group C. So you've got England, Denmark, Slovenia, and Serbia. How confident are we feeling?
We should be looking to win all 3 games, to be perfectly honest, or winning the first 2, knowing that we're through, them not resting players, but rotating maybe a little bit, just to make sure you freshen things up. But looking at the group, sort of, we were very happy with the draw when we got it, and I don't think anything's changed in that aspect. I think we should comfortably go through.
Yeah, I mean, we have to win this 100%. We can't. Denmark are not that great a side. Slovenia are not that great a side. Serbia, you don't know what Serbian team are going to turn up. They are absolutely lethal up front. Vlahovic, Mitrovic. They've got Peter Ratkov as well, who's an upcoming star. I think he's a good player. You've got Dusan Tadic. Pavlovic at the back is an absolute monster of a centre back. But then they make up for it with, I think, pretty poor players around it. And like I said, they beat Portugal, if I'm not mistaken. So you can't rule them out, but you just don't know what Serbia team are going to turn up.
Yeah, I do agree on that point around Serbia. Denmark are a weird one because we have seen them on their day turn up. I just don't think they're as good as they were 3-4 years ago, personally. And I've not seen any evidence to kind of go against that. So I do think Serbia could have an edge over Denmark. But again, you're right. You don't know what team's going to turn up. And in terms of England, we'll obviously do a few more episodes and various TikToks about England. But how do we think Southgate's going to play? Is he going to go for this sort of risk averse defensive mindset, or surely he's just got to take the handbrake off and just attack these teams?
I don't think he'll change that much. I think if we look at how he's played in the groups, at the World Cup, for example, we pretty much blew teams away. So I know we were vastly superior, but that's probably what he'll do. It's when it comes to those big games, he might have to change tactically. But I think for this one, he'll keep to what he's been doing.
I don't think if you're wanting excitement from a Southgate team, despite the players we've got, I don't think we're going to get it. Like, we might go and batter one of these teams in the group, but that would be because they're a very poor team. But I think he's going to be more worried about defensively because we are lacking at the back. So it's more, he'll probably try and cover for that even more than more than what we'd want to. So I don't see us being, this great attacking team. It's going to be a bit more calm, steady the ship, because sometimes you do need that in tournaments. So it's not like I'm being totally negative about Southgate. It's, you do need that in tournaments sometimes, because that's how you win it, because you've got a good defence. You're not leaking goals. So I just don't think he's going to go gun-ho for it. But I might be wrong, but I doubt it very much so.
Yeah, I mean, the way you look at it, if you look at our front five, front six, that, in my opinion, that's the best attacking combination in the world. And that's not even, that's outside of Europe. You look at our defence and you can't make the same argument. So surely in tournament football, you've got to play to your strengths. You play to your attack and you just go for it.
Yeah, but then you could be very leaky at the back.
Yeah, but that attack is good enough to outscore any side, in my opinion. And I think we've got to lean into the strengths rather than worrying about defence. And then you've got all these attacking players who don't get a chance to attack.
But that's not sustainable over the long term. You see it all the time. Teams that go for that sort of thing. Realistically, we should be able to shut out all of those teams in that group, even defensively. And if you are going to just focus on your attack, you need to be careful, because what if one of those does go one? What if the opposition goes 1-0 up and just shuts up shop? You don't know. You can't afford to drop points in the group stage, basically. So
it's not like you can, like, over a 38 game season, like with the Premier League, it's, you're going to have one of them weeks. But you can't afford that really in the group stages or the tournament, because it's knockout as well. So I think going gun ho, and let's say you go gun ho in your attack, even though like you're saying, it's the best in the world. They can have an off day, and if you've gone gun ho, you're going to get punished at the back. So I just don't see Southgate ever doing that anyway. Despite the sort of talent we've got up front, it just won't work. I don't think.
Yeah. All right, fair enough. Let's give our predictions quickly. Reese, will come back to you first.
England topping it, and I think Serbia will nick it for second place because they'll play Denmark in the last game, and I wouldn't be shocked if Mitrovic gets a late goal or something like that and to steal it.
Jamie?
I'm going England to win it and Denmark to come in second.
Yeah, I've gone the same as you. England first, Denmark second. But Reese, you are swaying me to Serbia, so I wouldn't be shocked if they come second as well. To be honest,
I think they're going to come bottom of the group. I don't
really
see,
better than they're better than Slovenia.
I don't see them turning up.
All right, let's move on. Group D. So some are saying it's a group of death. We can disagree, but we've got Netherlands, France, Poland, and Austria in this group. Now, weirdly, obviously in the qualifiers, you had France and Netherlands in the same group already. And I think what's key here is looking at those two results. It was match day 1, but France absolutely tore Netherlands to shreds and won 4-0. So I guess let's start with the big teams. Can we see, and bear in mind France are actually second overall, can we see any form of upset here or any form of Netherlands somehow getting above France?
No, but I think Netherlands won't mind that because look, you get them in the groups. Okay, you lose one game. Netherlands should beat Poland and Austria. So I think they wouldn't mind that. It might be sort of, come in second, but it means they won't play them again unless they meet them in the final. So I think it's not a bad way of looking at it going, all right, we play them in a one-off game, but that one-off game doesn't mean we're out. So let's get through, then we don't have to worry about them again, and then probably hope that someone else knocks them out. So I don't think they'll come above France, but I don't think they'll be too bothered that they're playing France again in the sort of group stages.
Yeah, it's an interesting way to look at it, I guess. And they'll yeah, you're right though. They'll be eyeing up the Poland and Austria games. But although Poland did have to come through the sort of knockout qualifiers, whatever you want to call them, they're a side who can cause teams problems. And same with Austria. Like we have seen Austria improving over the years. So I think this is a very, very tricky group. And I do think again, either Poland or Austria on their day could nick a draw against a Netherlands or a France and maybe even nick a win. Reece, do you agree or are you just writing these teams off?
No, I'm not writing these teams off. I'll go in a bit more detail about some of these teams in this group. France should win this. I mean, I've said this before that France are the team most capable of imploding, and it is theirs to lose. But they should win this group. Netherlands are much better. They are. And they should happily take second. I think Austria are a very good side. I think they're better than Poland. I really, really do. I think Austria have got a good coach, a good tactical system. They've got some very good, talented players. I think are very overlooked, and I think they'll fancy that. So I don't think you can rule Austria out of this group. But France and Netherlands should have the superiority on paper, but Austria will cause them some problems.
Cool. Well, let's give our predictions in this one. I'll kick things off. I'm going France 1, Netherlands 2. As I said, France are just a better side. Arguably should be favourites for the tournament. And despite what I just said about Poland and Austria, I don't actually think they will. I think they could, but I don't think they will.
I know it sounds boring, but no, I can't see anything but France first, Netherlands second. But one actually thing to note actually before Reece, you say yours, is the penalty taker for Netherlands is Van Dijk. It's been confirmed by their manager. Just a little weird sort of one. If you're playing fantasy, I'd get him in your team, a defender that's taking penalties. definitely a weird one. That
Yeah, strange. Surely, if you're the striker, you've got to be having words about that.
they're not. I don't think they've settled on a striker, so that's their only sort of issue with that. But yeah, he's been confirmed.
Yeah, you thought Depay would be taking that, wouldn't you? Or Frankie
Yeah.
de Jong, but I am going to be boring. I am going to go France and Netherlands, but I think Austria will get third. I do like this Austrian team. I really, really do. I'll go into more detail about it later. But Netherlands aren't that great. I think Koeman has, was it 7 wins, 5 losses, no draws? That's not that good. Like, come on now. Like, that means these teams are going to fancy it against Netherlands. And I think Koeman hasn't had the best managerial career, so to speak. It's not a criticism of him, but with the players they've got, like we've mentioned, Depay, Van Dijk, Frankie de Jong, some real leaders in this squad, they should have enough to get through.
Cool. All right, let's move on. Group E. We've got Belgium, Slovakia, Romania, and Ukraine. Ukraine obviously coming through the qualifiers in late drama, as we saw. How do you guys feel about this group? And is there any upsets on the cards? Belgium, obviously favourites, 16-1 odds to win it is where they're at. So that's 6th favourites in the bookies' eyes at least. Do we see Belgium comfortably winning this group, or could there be any upsets on the cards?
I think Belgium would have been very happy with their group, to be perfectly honest. Ukraine, I don't know. I'm sort of seeing it as Ukraine are probably the second best side in this group, and they've had to come through the third place qualifiers. So it is a weird one with this group, but I think Belgium should be too strong. They may not be the side that were technically world number one, despite not winning anything in the FIFA rankings. But I think they've got sort of good players all around. Looking at still got De Bruyne, got Lukaku up front. You've got Doku, Trossard. You've got some really good players in this team that can be very attacking. I think they've always struggled a bit defensively, but I think with this group, they should be comfortable still.
Yeah, look, we need to give a shout out to the Belgian coach Tedesco. I think he's very talented. He's got a very talented group of players who will play to the strengths. They only conceded 4 goals through 8 matches of the qualifiers, which you can't knock. You can't knock. It's very, very good. It does help having a 6'7" goalkeeper in there, but even then, he's not really been playing, so can't
He's
knock
in
that.
the squad, is he?
No, he's not even been picked, so I suppose it doesn't really matter. I think the rest of these groups, it's a matter of who just keeps the clean sheets. I think we're going to get quite a few 0-0s, maybe some 1-0s. I disagree on the Ukrainian sentiment. I think they're a very poor side. I think if anything, they've conceded the most, or they've got the least clean sheets out of the group here. Slovakia and Romania actually aren't that bad, and I think there'll be some 1-0s in these games, and it'll just be the matter of between Romania and Slovakia of who basically can better it. Don't be shocked if they finish on the exact same points or the exact same goal difference between these two teams. It's just a matter of who gets second, really.
Yeah, I think it's close. I do think it's close personally between Slovakia, Romania, and Ukraine, as you've said. In terms of my prediction, I went Belgium first, and I've gone Ukraine second. I think again, I may be wrong, but I think they've just got a little bit more quality. But
I've
yeah,
gone.
can't say I'm confident on that one in second place.
Yeah, I've gone the same. I can't say I'm confident on any of these, to be perfectly honest. But I agree with Reece being like these are going to be low scoring games. Between like Belgium might batter one of the teams in one of their games, but the games between all three of them, if I see a 2-1, I think that's going to be the sort of highest scoring out of the rest of them. I expect sort of 1-0, 0-0s, to be perfectly honest.
Reece, who did you go with?
Yeah, I mean, normally I like to go for a different team in the second place, and I think Romania could get second, but I just think Slovakia just have that little better squad overall. Dubravka in goal, for example. It's it is a strange one. I really don't see much here. So yeah, I'm gonna have to just go Slovakia here.
Right, and then last but not least, Group F, we have Portugal, Turkey, Georgia, and Czech Republic. Georgia again coming through the third place playoffs. I mean, there's a clear favourite again in this group, similar format to many others. I think one thing about Turkey, they did win their qualifying group above Croatia. So everything we said about Croatia may be true, but Turkey, I think are a side people are probably going to write off completely. But again, you can argue they had an easy group, whatever. But I think topping it over Croatia is an important factor to take into consideration. Where do you guys stand on sort of Georgia, Czech Republic? Would you put them above Turkey, even though they won their qualifying group?
It's possible. I mean, Georgia have some very talented players. I mean, you look at the guy at Napoli. I can't even pronounce his name, unfortunately, but he's been in top form. He's been absolutely outstanding, and they've got some great players there. They deserve to be here. And Turkey, I think, are quite a divisive team. Like I said, you don't know what Turkey team are going to turn up. How many times do people put them as as a bit of a dark horse, and they absolutely collapse on themselves? But they've got some good players themselves. They've got Korçu at Benfica, Çalhanoğlu at Inter. They got players that I think can tear you apart. You've got Arda Güler as well. Let's not forget. So they should do it. They should do it. But Georgia are not going to be there to be steamrolled over. And neither are the Czech Republic. The Czech Republic are also a good side. So again, it could be a matter of Turkey's quality should get them through. But is it also going to be second place going to be of who performs the best out of that bunch? That's very literal, as that means.
Yeah.
I'm a bit surprised on the Georgia sort of. I don't see them having a chance. Like, you got to remember, they didn't even actually come third in their group in the qualifiers. They came. I know Spain, Scotland, Norway all come ahead of them. Sort of, it doesn't bode well for them really. And the only two games they actually won was beating Cyprus, who lost every single game. So I really don't give them a chance in this tournament. There are, they've got an odd player or two that Reece has mentioned, but I see them being the team that probably don't actually score a goal in the tournament. Then, Czech Republic.
Just to prove your point, sorry to jump in. Spain beat them 7-1.
Well, they scored, so maybe I'm wrong on that point.
That's what we're dealing with here.
I don't give them a chance, to be perfectly honest. Then Czech Republic, they came second to Albania in their group. It was same points. Neither team sort of, give me any confidence to actually go, you know what, they're gonna top, Portugal or Turkey. And I think Turkey were everyone's dark horses in the World Cup, and they did absolutely flop for that dark horse call. But I just think they've got too much for Czech Republic and Georgia. It seems like a bit of a, in my mind, it seems like a sort of set and done. But then, they may not turn up like they didn't in the World Cup. I highly doubt that, because I think they played better teams in the World Cup than they are here.
Yeah. So what have you guys gone first and second then?
Well, I might as well say mine was fairly obvious, with Portugal first, Turkey second.
Reece, same for you?
No, Portugal, look, 9 clean sheets out of 10. You can't knock it. Outstanding effort. They should top that group. I'm actually going to go Czech Republic second. I think they are better than Turkey. I think players like Patrick Schick, who we saw at the last Euros, outstanding. And again, they kept more clean sheets than Turkey have. I know that doesn't matter when it comes to it, but I think they've got the ability to shut them out.
Yeah, I actually went the same. So despite everything I said about Turkey obviously winning their group, I still do just think Czech Republic have that edge. And as you said, just maybe a little bit more tactical know-how, a bit of, I don't know. There's just something there. I just think they're going to have the edge over Turkey. So yeah, I went Portugal first, no issues with that at all. And then Czech Republic second. So that wraps us up for our actual group predictions. Let's get on to the exciting bit that hopefully you've all been waiting for. So we're going to pick our biggest disappointment, i.e. big team we think is going to flop. We're going to pick our dark horses and ultimately pick who we think is going to win the tournament. Let's go around and do disappointments first. So my understanding of this is basically a big team who we think are going to underwhelm. So I've gone for one of the top teams, i.e. they're in the top 8 bookies favourites. I have gone Belgium. Now, obviously, they're probably going to win their group. They do have a very, very easy group. But I just think time and time again, they don't live up to the hype. They have a few bits of individual brilliance, but never really do it as a team. And even if they get out the groups, I could see them messing up in the first stage of a knockout round against a weaker side or something like that. I don't know why, but I don't know. I don't see them as a cohesive unit and a real threat, which many might disagree with. But yeah, that's who I've gone with. And the bookies have them at 16-1, which I think is 6th favourite. Yeah, 6th favourites overall.
That's quite interesting because obviously if they get through and win the group like I think all 3 of us predicted, they'd play a 3rd place side. So it wouldn't be actually, and then that would put them in the quarterfinals. So that might be difficult to say. Them getting to the quarterfinals is a disappointment.
Fine. So all right, let me reword that. I think there's absolutely no chance that Belgium win it. Let's put it that way. We'll call that disappointing.
Yeah, I get that. It's a struggle when, like, obviously I've just said that about Belgium. It's hard to sort of say you've been a disappointment when you can so easily get to the quarterfinals. But
would they be happy with that though? Just to chuck a debate in. Would Belgium see that as a success? Because I don't think they would.
It's not a success, but it's not overall disappointing because this is probably the least hype they've got around their team in like 4 or 5 tournaments.
Yeah, but they're still 6th favourites. The bookies are still giving them a reasonable chance.
But that's like they can top their group quite easily.
Yeah.
It's difficult with that, but I understand where you're coming from because I probably agree they won't win the tournament, but it's hard to say where's a disappointment line, really.
Yeah.
Mine is probably going to come under the sort of same narrative as I said. Like they can probably get to the quarters. It's difficult, but I'm actually going to go with the home nation of Germany. I think they are looking better, especially than what they've done in previous sort of last few tournaments. But I feel like there's going to be sort of, the pressure's going to get to them being at home constantly. And I don't think they're going to do that well.
I mean, to your point, we did say how all 4 of the sides in that group could cause issues. So could we actually see Germany just flop completely and not? Well, I mean, surely they'll get through, but like not top the group. Could that actually happen?
I think it could. It depends. I generally think it could come down if Scotland frustrate Germany, because that's what Scotland should do. They did it to England when we had them in the group stages. Frustrated the hell out of us, and we were the home nation. We're playing at Wembley, so they've got it again. They know what they're doing in that aspect. So definitely they could put tons of pressure on them. On top in the group, as I've said earlier, but I just don't think they're going to be that convincing, and there might be some sort of added pressure on them.
Yeah, good shot.
I mean, look, I'm not going to be shocked if France implode. I'm not going to be shocked if, Belgium decide not to turn up, or Portugal under that matter. I'm actually going to go for Italy. I think even though they're the holders, I think they've actually been very, very poor. They didn't qualify for the World Cup. They have been an absolute shambles since. Nothing really major. I think they qualified by drawing 0-0 with Ukraine, right? So it's not it's not great for them. They've got a lot of injuries. I think they've got good players, but they've got no Bonucci's or Chiellini's. They haven't got those players anymore. So I think they could really disappoint.
Yeah, I do love that shout. And I've got to say, when I saw their team announced, their obviously provisional squad announced, I'm sitting there going, 5, 6, maybe even more of their players, I don't even know really who they are. I appreciate that's going to be the case with many squads, but you're right. There's not those big names anymore. That's what it feels like anyway.
Sometimes that helps out. You got to remember, like,
Yeah.
you've got like Germany. Sometimes they put in they've had a tournament. I can't remember the name of the player, but it was in the second division of German football. They came in and did a fantastic job.
Yeah.
It was just so sometimes it means you don't get the problems of players expecting too much. Whereas like England, you've probably like if you're dropping a Foden, a Grealish, a Palmer, they might be like, well, actually, why am I getting dropped? Sort of thing, and then that creates can create problems. I'm not saying them players will do it in this tournament, but I'm saying it can happen, and then implodes happen.
Yeah.
And I
That's
don't
fair.
think be shocked if Holland have a bit of a nightmare themselves. Like I said, I don't think Koeman's record is outstanding. So, like I said, if you've got Van Dijk taking your penalties, you have to really ask serious questions. Like I like Memphis Depay, but he's not world class. In my opinion, that's not a criticism of him. I think he just fits well in the teams he plays in. They could implode in that group easy.
Yeah. And to your point as well, if you're looking at the odds, you see a big jump off. So you've got Belgium, Italy, Netherlands, all priced pretty high compared to the others. So I think bookies are kind of in agreement there. Let's move on to our dark horses. Reese, we'll come straight back to you. Who have you got? You hinted at it earlier for people paying attention.
Yeah.
Are we back to Group D for your dark horse?
We are indeed, and it's Austria. Look, they're not going to win it, but they are looking a good side. Ralph Rangnick at the helm has done brilliant. I think they even beat Turkey, if I'm not mistaken, 6-1. So they're not here to mess around. They finished second in their group, just behind Belgium. They've got some good players. They've got an identity. You got the Sabitzers there. They've got some great young players. We play for teams like Salzburg and Leipzig. They're not to be messed with, and that's why they could easily capitalize on Holland struggling. So we can't knock that.
Yeah, I think as well, just looking at their qualifiers, 1 point behind Belgium and 9 points clear of Sweden, who many would regard as a good side. So that actually could be a great shout.
Yeah, they've got some fantastic players. I just do want to shout them out. They've got Heidel in goal if he does start. I know they've got more reliable players, but Sabitzer, Zweiwald, Arnautovic is even in that team. If you want someone who's going to get the game by the scruff of the neck, Matthias Seidel, they've got some good young players, hungry players in that side, and they've got a lot to offer, I think, and they shouldn't be laughed at. Even Alaba, who's their captain.
Yeah.
Real pedigree in this team that gets overlooked, and this could be a good tournament for them.
Yeah, fair. Jamie, who have you gone for and why?
I've gone back to Group A and Hungary. I think they've got a good opportunity of getting through that group. I think they're probably the second best team in the group, so I think they can get through. And then if you look in the knockout stages, they'll play the second team, even though they've come second, they'll play the second team in Group B, which is looking like what we predicted with being Italy. I don't think it's that out of the ordinary that they can go and beat Italy. Italy, like Reece has sort of said before, it's like they've imploded themselves over tournaments, sort of not getting into the World Cup, losing to North Macedonia. So for Hungary to beat them, I don't think would be that much of a shock. And then that puts them in the quarterfinals, and you're like, well, that's a success for them, and that's quite good for a dark horse, in my opinion. But like I said before at the start, we don't want them in the final. we don't want issues when we go to Hungary.
Yeah, so I've well, I have to disagree with you based on my answer. So I've actually changed as well, as I've kind of talked myself out of it. So initially, I had Switzerland down, but I've changed that, and I'm going to use your logic. I think Scotland. I think Scotland because again, I'll use your logic there. They might be able to get a second place finish. Could upset an Italy, just frustrating them and them not being able to break them down. But you've got to look at the group in qualifiers. Like, we can't just ignore what they did in the qualifiers. Like, they were a serious threat. And I'm just looking through a couple of results now. The big one, obviously, it has to stand out, is beating Spain 2-0. Like, and I'd say they deserved it. And I remember every game in the qualifiers going like, they're really, really looking good here. Again, beating Norway, nothing to be sniffed at. I don't know. I think they've got all the hype. I know all the PR, all the jokey videos. But I think what it does show is how much it means for them to be there. And I think their players, not that players aren't going to take it seriously, but I don't know. I just think there's something about Scotland that they could really spring a surprise.
No, they're both good shouts, to be fair. Like, if you want to look at Hungary, Szoboszlai is one of their players. They've got some decent players up front, with Sally and Varga as well. I think Varga's got 4 in 9 or something. So that's pretty decent. Well, more than decent. And Scotland only lost 1 game in their qualifiers. They're going to have a lot of passion. They're going to have a lot of fans behind them. They might be the team that dig out those results. So again, you can't knock Scotland.
Yeah. All right, let's get on to the big one, the winners. I'll just very quickly go through the odds of the top 6. So the bookies are currently saying England the favourites, which, as we've all said on the group chat, I feel like it's a bit rogue. It's like putting Spurs as favourites to win something. It's like you've not done it in so long. How can you say they're favourites? But yeah, England are bookies odds on 3-1. You've then got France as second favourites, 15-4. Germany third favourites, 4-1. So Jamie, that could be a really good shout if you get it right. Spain 7-1 and Portugal 7-1. I will kick things off. I think England do have a chance, and obviously there's a reason we're bookies favourites. The form of some of the attacking players, it speaks for itself. The fact we could have a Foden, a Saka, a Palmer, one of those guys potentially not starting a game is absolutely insane. And the depth we have in attack, even a Watkins. A Watkins is a backup, and he's had the season of his life. So attacking wise, I think England are there, but the issue is the defence. And the issue is, let's be fair, the manager. He's not proven enough, and I'll back him all the way, but he's not been there and done it. So for me, I've got to be looking at France. Been there and done it before. Look at their squad. Even the players they're leaving out is absolutely disgusting. It's so good. And obviously the bookies are saying they're near enough favourites with us anyway, but you've got to back a team who've been there and done it consistently, winning World Cups. So yeah, for me, France, I'm going to pick.
I agree. I've gone with France. I think Reece said it earlier. It is France's to lose. I can see England doing well. Like, I can see them doing well. But I don't know. I just think if we went up against France, we'd lose. So I think the only way England win it is if France get knocked out in some other way. But I don't know. I just don't see it. I think they've got enough quality. Let's say Mbappe's not performing. They've got Griezmann. They've got Dembele. They've got such good players all round. And defensively, probably the centre back of the season, Saliba, probably won't start for France.
Yeah,
which is mad. He'd be straight in England's team. So it's things like that. I think will carry not carry them over, but they'll win it because they've got the depth, and even if they just went 11 for 11, they've got the quality there.
Yeah. Reece, is it 3 for 3?
Oh, here comes my long-winded answer. My record is on the line here. Because I got the winner of the World Cup, I got the winner of the last Euros, and the winner of the 2018 World Cup. So I'm on 3. I want to go for 4 for 4.
Pressure.
And I do say it is France's to lose. I do think that. And like we said, France are the team most capable of imploding. And it could be England's to steal. Because I think we are better than what we're giving ourselves credit for. But I also see Germany, and they beat France, and tactically they are on it. They are very, 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 very good. I do think we're capable of beating Germany because I think their tactical approach would slow them down sometimes. But if Germany get a foothold in and go 1-0 up, then we're in trouble. But I'm going to stick with France. I stuck with them from the start. I will continue with them on this. I think they are capable of doing it. And I think Mbappe could, if he wants to, be the top scorer in this competition. You know, this guy could be celebrating a very big summer for him. So I'm going to go with France. But Germany and England will be 2 teams that will cause a problem.
There you have it. We don't agree often, but we do agree on the winners. 3 for 3. As always, appreciate you watching. Make sure to hit us up in the comments with your own predictions. And of course, if you get it right, we might just give you a shout out. But as always, like, comment, and subscribe. You know the drill.